Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Welcome. So I'm just going to get us started here. I am really
You
happy
guys are having an
to
amazing day.
announce a new challenge that I am now doing in the month of October. This is going to be a very special challenge because we are going to discuss um, death and rebirth. We are going to practice 30 days of integration of death and rebirth. And I'm really excited to bring this to you guys because over the past couple days, I've had a very profound meditations that have really been focusing on death and rebirth and what that means, what that entails, and revisiting once again the belief systems that we all have around life and death, essentially, and essentially where we are holding ourselves back with these belief systems. And of course, as you might know, it's actually at the very root of the majority of the blockages that we hold within our life. Most of the parts of us that feel we are not able to move forward, we are not able to transcend limitations, limiting belief systems are all a result of these kinds of belief systems. So I believe that not only do I believe, but I have lived through the process of integrating this death, fear of death. And what I found on the other side of that was an incredible freedom um, in which the soul, the self, can embody and express its highest expression in a way that is completely limitless. The empowerment that emerges as a result of this new way of thinking is so powerful. It's incredibly healing. It's co-creative. It manifests and taps into the energies of manifestation and co-creation of this realm. And essentially, it's a key to unlock the miracles and the magic, essentially, the synchronicities of this realm. So I really invite you to join me on this 30-day challenge. It's a challenge because can you do the practices of integration for the 30 days? That is the invitation. Let me hold on one moment, please. Let me go ahead and post this so that I can let people know that we are here. And if you want to share this, please go ahead and share it. So great to see you guys in the chat. So wonderful to see so many familiar faces. Hello, Andy. Hello, Magical. Indigo. Hello, Jaden, Lonika, Yoli. Lee, so great to see you. Yes, me too. I'm looking forward to this too. Soul Activations, welcome. Tori Limburg, welcome. Jaden, so wonderful to see you guys. Go ahead and if you have any questions, put them in the chat in capital letters. And if you um, want to add or have any questions about this challenge, go ahead and do so. Let's talk about how the format of this program is going to go. Let me share with you, I created a portal over the past couple of days so that you guys can access some material. And I'm going to be adding a lot of exclusive material there. Of course, I will have my slides, but if you go to my website, geraldineorozco.com, and you go under courses, okay, you go under courses, you go under challenges. Hold on, let me move my menu out of the way. You go under challenges. It's going to take you over here to the challenge page. We have a lot of other awesome challenges that we have done that are still accessible to you. One of our most popular challenge is our alchemical transformation challenge, which is free to join. This integrated death and rebirth is available here for you to register in order to access the slides and the extra material. I will also be adding to this challenge a series of Q&A opportunities once a week for everyone. Okay, so it is $10 to join that private platform for Q&A. You will have the invitation to the Q&A at the end of the week, every week. And we will also have in that portal the slides that you can actually access. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be working on in this challenge. I want to review. I kind of created a curriculum for us because there are some main topics that I want us to review. Okay. And so we're going to be looking at things this way. And in the challenge, they are organized exactly as I'm going to share them with you today. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about, so today is day one, we're going to talk about biohacking change. We're going to talk about, that my lectures always include energetic, biochemical, bioelectrical. We want to understand the connection between the consciousness, the non-physical, and the physical as it refers to the coding of this holographic structure, which is our DNA, the blueprint, right? So epigenetically, how are we utilizing these spiritual tools in order to change ourselves from the inside out? So we're going to talk about biohacking change, the element of change, how to tap into change, and how to begin the process of change, because that's the first step, right? Because in the process of becoming aware of the unknown and being able to dive into the realm of death, or the concepts of parts of us dying, we have to be okay with change. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to take a look at that. That's today. Tomorrow, we're going to be taking a look at how to deal with endings. Okay, so the ending of belief systems, the ending of events, the ending of, we're going through major transformational changes in the world right now, from 2023 to 2027, right? So this major time of transformation, we need to be okay with the process of things ending and changing. And so how do we be okay with that? We have to prepare mind, body, and soul, because there are many aspects of ourselves that have to readjust. There is an element of training. We need to train ourselves essentially to be able to move fluidly. And the kind of change that we are needing to do is in the mind, but also reflects in the body. The way that our nervous system responds to events has to change in creating and sustaining a regulated nervous system that, regardless what kind of event we witness or experience, or the changes that we are experiencing internally and externally, that we sustain a collective, coherent field, integrated field, channel of source into the physical vessel throughout all of these circumstances. So we need to understand how we're going to do that. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, but tomorrow we'll talk about that integrated part of the endings, okay? We're also going to talk about letting go of attachments. This is one of the biggest parts, and one of the things that I'm super excited to share with you all, because essentially we want to understand, how do we let go of these attachments, the attachment to belief systems, the attachment to old selves, the attachment to parts of us that we utilize as survival mechanisms or to protect ourselves. Okay, so we want to understand, how do we go about changing that so that we no longer are in constant states of suffering. Okay, so this is going to be one of the most exciting parts, in my opinion, of this challenge, because if we can transcend those kinds of belief systems and those limiting programs, we are off to a very good start. Okay, we're also going to be talking about looking at how to trust in major transitions. Okay, so this is going to be a big one, because the whole purpose of being able to navigate change is knowing that on the other side of these changes, we are going to be in a place of coherence, in a place of safety. So how does one learn how to feel safe in a state of transformation? Okay, that is the question. So we're going to be taking a look at that. how to trust. And this is literally one of the most powerful elements, because this is relevant to your healing process. It's also relevant to the process of the collective. And it's also relative to you as a soul and how you find yourself navigating through the different dimensional experiences that you're having in your physical life at the time of death and then in the afterlife. Okay. We're also going to be talking about how to embody and program neutrality. Okay, I talk a lot about this biochemically, bioelectrically, but let's talk about how to integrate that when it comes to dealing with the aspect of detachment of both the physical and the non-physical. We're going to talk about healing trauma, because essentially one of the most important parts of being able to integrate death is preparing for that death and understanding that this game is very much a vibrational frequency language that we need to learn. So the language of emotions is vibrational frequency. And if that is the case, how do we bring ourselves into a state of neutrality? Okay, so we'll talk about that, both physical, mind, body, and soul. We're also going to talk about ancestral trauma. Okay, now this is super important because this plays into our higher purpose. Okay, the healing of your ancestral trauma plays a role in the life that you're incarnating in now and in the life that you're going to be incarnating in next. Okay, so that's really important. We're going to be talking about how to let go of the old self. I get this question a lot. People that are going through major transformations, finding themselves that they are having a really hard time adjusting to the new self. And I know firsthand how challenging this is, because a lot of parts of us that are needing to be the new self sometimes feel very vulnerable because all of our surroundings are supporting the old self. So we need to learn how to readjust that. We're going to talk about how to accept our shadows. Okay, this is day by day. I'm going day by day what the schedule is going to be for these 30 days of integration. In the 30 days, in 30 days of accepting our shadow, in the 30 days, addressing how to accept shadow is essentially going to be a very powerful course, because we're going to discuss how to observe terrible things that are often judged by us from a place of neutrality and acceptance. And in this is essentially a very liberating state of perception. Okay, we're also going to be talking about allowing the new self. Okay, so one thing is letting go of the old self, but another challenge that a lot of people experience is, how do you accept the new self that you have, that you are in the process of programming, the one that is in a state of unconditional love, channeling and connecting that source, the one that is in a neutral observer in the present moment. There are some fundamental parts of us that need to understand what that's going to feel like, what that looks like, and how to continue supporting yourself through this new transition. Okay, we're also going to talk about integrating the higher purpose into your life, and this kind of part 2 of healing ancestral trauma, because ancestral trauma is one of the reasons why we incarnate into the physical 3-dimensional realm, but we also have higher purposes that are involved in our incarnation, why we are here, and essentially what we're here to do, how our existence is contributing to the collective, all this information, how to access it. Okay, we're going to talk about how to deprogram ancestral DNA. Okay, so of course, healing ancestral DNA is trauma is very important, but in our DNA, we store this information, and if we don't understand how to deprogram that from the DNA, essentially at the time of our death, the vibrational frequency that we hold on to won't have shifted very much. Okay, how to heal our family lineage. So we're going to talk about how we are deeply interconnected with our family and our ancestors, and how our changes in this lifetime affect the lifetimes that we next choose. Taking us to the next topic, aligning the organisms with the organism with the cycles of life and death. So what happens when you align yourself to these natural flow states? what happens, what doesn't happen. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the physical organs, what happens to your body, your biology, when you align with the natural cycles of life and death. Lots of changes happen in the body, and we're going to talk about the structure, the architecture of those changes. I also want to talk about the subconscious mind and how the subconscious mind is kind of experiencing, how the collective subconscious is also experiencing, how some of this information self-organizes through these universal cycles. Okay, so this is also very important on the higher level, taking a look at how we are affected by cosmic bodies that transcend this earth. We're also going to talk about preparing loved ones for death. And this is a big one because not a lot of people talk about this, but we have contractual agreements with every single being that we are interacting with. So we're going to talk about how do we work with those contracts in preparation for their departure. Have you done what you need to do in this lifetime with the person that you are interacting with? Now, I have learned about these contractual agreements firsthand from working not only with humans, but also with people's pets. There are several attachments that we create that are also contractual work in the physical and in the non-physical realms that we need to be aware of. So we're going to talk about that. Okay, next we're going to talk about how we stagnate our soul evolution through lifetimes. Now, this is a really powerful one. I'm super excited for that because essentially every choice that you make in this lifetime defines the next lifetime that you have the potential of experiencing in terms of the vibrational frequency or signature purpose of that life. So a lot of us keep cycling through same programs, lifetimes through lifetimes, because we keep not learning the main lesson that we came here to transcend. And we will know how to identify those programs by taking a look at our ancestral trauma. Okay, so we're going by order. How do we access this information? Okay. We're also going to be talking about how to love unconditionally, because that is, of course, the key. And I'm going to talk about the biology of that unconditional love, the architectural structure of that in reference to death, in reference to rebirths, how we experience the rebirthing of ourselves, new vibrational frequencies that we create, and how it affects the collective. We're going to talk about afterlife, lucidity, and training. So how do we train for the afterlife, right? Everything that we experience when we detach from this physical body. How do we train for that lucidity? How do we have a choice? How do we progress? We'll revisit that, as well as revisiting some of the ancient practices that have been practiced on this earth for centuries around this practice. We're going to talk about what is death. Let's define what death actually means. And getting on the same page about what death is in order to understand how to navigate this next step, essentially. We're also going to be talking about how to transform the fear of death. And this is going to be one of the most powerful workshops of this series, because it's precisely the fear of death that limits us from being able to access into our highest expression. Okay, we're going to talk about how to heal from loss. Okay, what is loss? The energetic exchange of loss, and how it's felt and how it processes in our biology, in our multidimensional holographic structure. The role that loss plays in the bigger picture of our multidimensionality, and the chords and the connections in which that play a role in these connections. Okay. And we're going to talk about, do we lose loved ones? And it's a perfect segue from the last class, because we're going to talk about, what are we really losing the loved ones? We're going to talk about the in-between states, for example, ghost realms, disembodied souls, souls that are stuck, souls that can't transcend into the light, souls that are attached to lands, houses, people, places, things. And we're going to talk about what are the dynamics of that? How do we support that? How do we help? And it's also going to be supported by our contractual class, a class on contractual agreements with our loved ones. We're going to talk about how to accept new experiences. And I think that this is something that's very important because we essentially are bound by our layers of perception, which are designed from the birth until the age of 7. And when we experience anything outside of those layers of perception, of course, our paradigms are shattered, and it can be very traumatizing, in which people experience existential crises. So we're going to talk about, what does that mean in this bigger picture? What does your existence mean in the bigger picture? And what role do these new experiences play, how to navigate them? We're also going to talk about how our choices entangle into the matrix. This is super important because, again, every choice that you make, both in your waking state and in your dream state, play a role in how deeply we are entangled in the matrix. We're going to talk about how to have successful death and the biophysics of that. This is a really exciting class because we're going to talk about productive death and counterproductive death. It also segues into the element of disembodied souls. Do you want to be a disembodied soul, or do you want to be integrated source again? So we'll talk about that, okay? We're also going to talk about how to maintain harmony. Okay, how do we maintain harmonious states in our body, mind, and soul? And the key to maintaining harmony in our body is so that we can navigate all dimensional layers in an empowered state. Okay. All right, so these are the courses that you and I are going to be, these are the things that we're going to be talking about in this challenge. It's a 30-day. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put that in the chat in capital letters, and I'll be very happy to answer your question. Let's talk about the biohacking of change, okay? So let's talk first about how we hold patterns of information in our body. Remember that a habit and a belief system is a biochemical program, okay? So anytime that we have a belief system, there are several elements that are playing a role in that. Let me go ahead and open my PowerPoint here. But all of our belief systems are infused in the subconscious, are fed through the subconscious mind, and output through our behaviors and our actions, essentially. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm going to just open this really quickly. And where we want our attention to go is essentially our neural pathways. Okay, when we create a belief system, we have neural pathways that are communicating in a field, in a network. Okay, those neural pathways are essentially creating cords and connections, which create networks of information through us. Now, neural pathways, they literally look like little organisms that reach out and connect to one another. And let me see if I can find I cannot post it here on this live, but I will post it in the material, in the course material, about how neural pathways literally look like they're little arms reaching out to connect to the next neuron in order to create that connection, the action. When they fire and they wire together, when they connect, that's what's referred to as a wiring. The wiring of those neural pathways are the programs that we hold within us. Okay, so what we want to understand is that every single program, every belief system that you have, every thought that you have, is firing and wiring these neural pathways. When we have long sustained programs, we are basically reinforcing the neural pathways that we have established previously. Some of our neural pathways that we have developed over since the womb until now have been reinforced by our patterns of behaviors. Okay, so we want to understand that when we are talking about making a change in our lives, we must take into consideration this biochemical element, because if we don't understand that the bioelectricity, the charge that is created as a result of the firing of these neural pathways, remember that emotional charge is emotion. Okay, and we talk about, again, emotion being energy in motion. We put into motion this charge. The charge is what creates into the hologram. Okay, so the reason why we are able to go into this hologram and infuse these experiences and change them is essentially the charge that we input into this system. So if we want to create a change in our lives, we have to change the subconscious belief systems that are feeding into the belief, the programs of what bioelectrically we are charging in our body. If the majority of our programs are fearful, angry, disconnected, usually what we're going to be holding is these low vibrational frequencies that are a signature of vibrational frequency. And when we keep reinforcing these programs over and over again, we create a chemical response in the body. Remember that every single emotion has a biochemical response. So the neural pathway is created, reinforced, the pattern is continued to repeat over and over again. Every time that pattern repeats, the chemicals that are secreted as a result of those neural pathways, essentially we become addicted to those patterns. We become very comfortable with it. The entire organism is comfortable. And when these programs are based in survival, or they're perceived as necessary for survival, it can be very difficult to break them, because the entire body is absolutely convinced that if we don't continue to reinforce that program, something will happen to the body, essentially death, right? So why we want to talk about change today is because majority of the reason why people have a hard time making changes in their lives is because there is a profound subconscious belief system that we will die if we move outside of what is known. Everything that is known is reinforced biochemically and bioelectrically in the body. It doesn't mean that this behavior is productive for you, because a lot of the times the programs that we have running in the subconscious mind are keeping us in states of constant survival. But our bodies, remember that the survival mechanisms are fight, flight, freeze. Okay, so these survival mechanisms, we are blocking the flow of the action of this human organism in a way that can transcend the limitations of these perceptions. So we are bound by whatever fears or limiting belief systems that are created by these subconscious beliefs. The core subconscious belief is that if we move outside of what is known, we will die, we will suffer, we will experience pain, and we will experience separation, ultimately separation. But we want to take a look, because when we begin to revisit some of these patterns that we're holding, actually, they're actually keeping us in constant states of survival. And these constant states of survival that are extremely depleting, they are extremely depleting to our body. We are literally losing life force from our body constantly. Okay, so the depletion of our life force in a state of survival is always going to be in a centrifugal motion. Okay, let's revisit what that looks like again. When we talk about holding very strong emotional states that are depleting emotional energy. Oh, hold on a second. I lost my slide here. Okay. So when we are in these constant states of survival, we are losing a lot of energy, a lot of life force. Okay. Because the survival mechanisms they interrupt a lot of the processes in the body and redirect the life force into survival mode, which actually can actually be really large amounts of energy that can be implemented in the body. This is where we see stories of mothers lifting up cars in order to help the child that's pinned underneath in an accident, for example. We don't know how it's possible that this small mother individual has the power, the energy to be able to lift a car up, but the adrenaline that enters into her system and all of these other biochemical functions take her to optimum function in that moment. It's exerting an incredible amount of life force in order to survive. So what happens is that when all of that energy is input into this survival mechanism, it's heavily depleted because there is no balance, there is no integration, and there is no solid foundation in the body that this person has exercised collecting that level of life force before. It is just a complete exertion. It is a depletion of that energy. So that is an example of the centrifugal state of being in the body. Okay, the architecture of the body becomes centrifugal. So in order to shift this change, we need to learn how to gather our life force. Okay, so one of the important ways of beginning to change, biohacking, the ability to sustain change, is by changing the way that we are using our life force day to day. Life force includes emotions, sexual energy, and actions. Okay, so those three are the expressions of our life force. Okay, the emotions are actually our most used life force, and it's also the one that we least understand and we least dominate. So in order to learn how to master your emotions, the key, okay, well, actually, in order to master all of these areas, your actions, your behaviors, your emotions, and the sexual energy requires constant observation in a state of absolute presence. Okay, so coming into a state of observation, coming into a state of presence is what will help you begin to navigate and to master those emotional states. Let me pause here for a second. Coming this over here. Make sure that I am sharing the right window with you. Yes, I am. Okay, let me come into the chat for some questions really quickly to see if anybody has any questions, and I'm going to continue in just a second. Let me go ahead and see here. Hello, Lee, love, love, love. Fig, so great to see you. Yes, Geraldine is live. Right now we are live with this. There's plenty of space for you to join. Please go ahead and join. Lisa, you're welcome to join. Good morning, Marilena. Toiture, welcome. James, so great to see you from Ireland. Welcome. Rob Core, centripetally going inward is where it's at. That's right. Abby, hello. Rob Core, Marilena, hello. All right, so let's continue. So essentially what we want to observe in this process of transformation is that we are learning to come into this centripetal state of life force utilization, conscious state of energy use, rather than unconscious state of depletion. That is the key. That is the number one key that we need to exercise in the process of creating change, biohacking change in the body. Am I sharing my window? Okay. Okay. So when we come into a state of centrifugal spin, which is depleting our life force, what happens to our physical body essentially is that we become disorganized. Okay, so the body is in disorder. When the body comes into disorder because of the depletion, the imbalanced depletion of life force in a state of survival, that disorder essentially causes a lot of chaos in the body, in the multidimensional body. And we end up having a lot of holes in the field, in the layers of our body. Your aura is made up of infinite layers, and those layers are the projections of your chakra system. So when we have lots of holes in the multidimensional body, essentially it's really hard to shift from a centrifugal to a centripetal state because our awareness is completely dispersed in all areas. Okay, there is no focus. This human does not have a clear intention for their existence, for their actions, for their emotions, for their behaviors. It is all depleting, constant depletion. Redirecting that energy is one of the fastest ways to help you make changes in your life. And these kinds of changes that you make when you redirect the energy are actually helping promote health in your body. Literally, the organs of your body become irrigated with life force when you place your attention back on those organs. So if you are completely unaware of your liver, and you place your attention on your liver, you literally invite the liver to come into joy in this moment. You bring joy, happiness, make that liver smile. Okay, it literally changes the construct. It changes the expansiveness of that electromagnetic field of that organ. It changes the spin rate of the toroidal expression, creating the magnetic field of that organ and the way that it's functioning. So we can biohack health into the body simply by working with the bioelectrical system. Every single organ, every part of our body, every cell of our body is a toroidal field of electromagnetic expression. And that toroidal field, that spherical movement, creates collectively that network through quantum non-locality in which all these systems are deeply interconnected. So the chemicals that we secrete in the body that are counter creative to the integration of these systems. Okay, because remember, when we're disconnected from our body, our organs are completely disconnected. There's a lot of pain, stagnation, illness in the body. The organs are not fluidly moving. And so therefore there is illness and essentially death. So actually, being in a state of survival, being in resistance to change will always result in suffering. Always, always result in suffering. In fact, every single thought form, every single belief system and emotion in a state of that is derived and originating in a state of survival and fear will always cause in more chaos. That is the law of this universe. Okay, so we need to learn and discern to utilize our emotional energy as tools to navigate this three-dimensional realm, the holographic matrix. Every single belief system that we hold in our body is a charge that you are inputting into the hologram for creation and experience. The shifting of these belief systems change your life, change your experience, change your body, mind, and soul. They're going to change the direction of your soul at the time of death, and they're going to change how you hold space in your collective, your ancestral lineage, the health of your DNA, the health of this holographic organism. And we're going to dive deep into that in this challenge, as you saw. So the changing of our belief systems is very much a bioelectrical work, essentially, because the shift of our perceptions, remember that your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and something that is occurring directly in front of you. Your response to any experience, whether you're reliving a trauma in your mind that happened to you last week or when you were a child, or whether you are reliving, you are living in this present moment a traumatic experience, your response to it when we are entering into a state of unknown, because the experience can be shocking, or we are just unprepared for these experiences, that we are not grounded in the present moment in order to witness them in a state of non-judgment. Remember that judging and applying meaning to any circumstance, whether it's real or imaginary, is what can trigger your biochemical response system, your fight flight. That system of survival will automatically respond to these experiences. So we need to be aware of our thoughts every moment. How do you become aware of your thoughts? Is by being fully present, embodied in the physical body every moment. And from there, carefully choosing how you want to respond to experiences from a state of discernment. Your discernment must be based on an understanding that emotions, energy in motion, creates biochemical responses in the body that are either counter-creative, so destructive towards yourself, or creative or healing towards yourself. Okay, so those are the two options that we are affecting. So when we talk of change, we really need to understand we are choosing between life and death, essentially. Every choice that we make, because if the comfort zone that you're in with the current experiences that you're having in this moment are based on survival, then chances are all that you know is survival, and you're going to be experiencing, and your body is going to be creating, your manifestation engine, right, is going to be vibrating at the vibrational frequency of survival, which means that it needs to create more experiences for you to be in a state of survival, because that is what you are requesting to experience. That's what you are designing yourself to experience in that moment. So the ability to begin to change, okay, to change how we are navigating this physical realm really depends on how we are inputting. Another part that happens, okay, let's talk about what happens when now you make the change, okay? Neural pathways, when you begin to deprogram programs of survival that are causing you self-destruction, what happens is a couple things. We're going to go through withdrawal, okay, because we are literally addicted. We are biochemically addicted to these chemical emotions that we have created for ourselves. And let me dive deep into what I mean about by that, okay? Because, let's see here, where is that? Just one moment, here it is. Let me see if I can find the slide that I want to share with you. bear with me one moment. I want you to understand what we are becoming addicted to and how. Let me find this for you guys. Okay. This is what I'm looking for here, right here. I found the slide. Hold on one second. Let me open this for you here. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to make sure that I share this with you. This will be included in your material for you as well. Okay. Let me just add this for you here. Okay. So what I'm talking about is basically the chemicals that we are using in our bodies. So essentially, we are addicted to these chemicals, right? Okay. So every single one of these chemicals essentially are triggered by certain behaviors. And what we want to do is we want to understand how to interrupt the addiction that we have to some of these programs. Okay. And it can be very hard for people to move themselves out of an artificial stimulation. Okay, the artificial stimulation that creates, for example, rewards system, this instant reward system that we are addicted to. Literally, it feels comfortable to be in this constant state of stress. Okay, but stress is exactly what we are addicted to. And when I discovered this in my own healing journey, I was really shocked. I was so surprised by how difficult it was for me to break the habit of wanting to create stress in my life. Okay, so this is something that we need to train ourselves to shift from. And for most of us, we are not familiar with what lies on the opposite side of these chemicals that are produced by stress. In fact, it's so difficult for us to be familiar with emotions like peace, joy, harmony, okay, balance, love. These emotions, we are completely foreign to these emotions. Okay, so how can we create change if we don't know and we haven't created and constructed the opposite of it? So in the workshop of this task that we're doing here, we must get to know what is the direct opposite of what we're trying to create. What's the opposite of stress? What even is that? Okay, and we not only have to just identify what the opposite is, but we need to memorize in the body how it feels. We need to familiarize the body, which essentially familiarizing the body would be creating a new neural pathway. Okay, so you're breaking the neural pathway that is inducing stress hormones, and you are replacing it with a neural pathway that is creating a coherent homeostasis of a regulated nervous system. The regulated nervous system is cultivated through the practice of your thoughts and your present moment, your awareness of yourself. We want to reach a regulated nervous system by bringing ourselves into the state of harmonious awareness. collecting the attention of our life force, redirecting it into a centripetal spin where we are co-creating with our bodies every moment in a state of awareness. That is the long-lasting serotonin that is created essentially. For example, through meditation, right? The reconnection to yourself is the long sustaining, stabilizing chemical that we want to create in the body that is incredibly healing for the body. So, creation and destruction, two options that we are choosing from in the process of programming and deprogramming change into our lives. One of them leads towards death, the other leads towards this infinite uh, non-physical and physical integration of our whole self. And this is essentially what we are trying to reach with that. So that being said, I'm going to stop right here. We're going to go into our meditation, my love. I want to take you into a workshop, a mini workshop, which we're going to experience some of these changes in our healing. Let me go into the chat, see if we have any questions. Arkian, so welcome to see. I was watching the other video and you live. I feel cheated now. Ellen says, question, hi Geraldine, I love all your wisdom and I feel that it resonates with me, but I would really love to experience it more for myself and find maybe more evidence for myself. How do I do that? Exactly. Exactly what I hope for every single one of you, please, to understand that all of this information is to help guide you in the direction of accessing this information in a way that you can embody it. Please do not take my word for it. You must experience these things for yourself, Ellen. How do we do that? We got to do the shadow work. We must sit in meditation and get to know ourselves. Everything that I'm sharing with you is the result of a profound, deep connection and self-inquiry and exploration into my own subconscious mind, and working with clients on a daily basis in order to deprogram the limiting belief systems. So, meditation, shadow work. Okay, how do you do the shadow work? I have lots of videos on this channel to help you work with that shadow work and to begin to deprogram those belief systems. So I invite you to check them out. Emotional Mastery Challenge is 30 days of working with your emotions that will take you really deep into the reconnection of the mind and the body. The emotions, that is the key. Work with your emotions. In the identification of what triggers you is your liberation. That is your shadow work. If you can identify what triggers you, you can begin to use those triggers as keystones, entryways into your shadow. Because what is being triggered is something that is protecting something else. Okay, so that's another part of this biohacking change, is that what we're going to find behind the person that is feeling and addicted to those chemicals of stress, for example, is we have a little ego part of us that exists within that space. Literally, I want you to visualize that ego part of you, okay? Manifest it into some physical form. What does it look like? What kind of clothing is it wearing? Is it dressed? Is it halfway missing? Does it look like it's disappearing? Does it look like it's hunched over? You can learn a lot by identifying and creating a visual for yourself for the part of you that is being protected. You're going to find mirrors of your inner child, the wounded inner child, the wounded ego that needed to hold on to this program because it's all it knew in order to be able to survive in that moment. Okay, so we can help these little parts of us transmute those states of suffering into something more productive and healing. Okay, so if that little part of us is feeling disconnected, broken, which is usually the case, how do we reconnect it? in the healing process, it's always easier for us to be gurus, right? To teach other people, to help other people in their healing process, because when we begin to give advice, we tap in automatically to the higher self, which exists within us all the time. But we sever the connection and the dialogue with that higher self. We usually look at things because we are ourselves in survival. We ignore that higher knowledge that is available to us. In fact, all of this information, all the information, the infinite, the Akashic records and beyond is available through your intuition, through your connection to yourself, utilizing the tool of imagination in order to make sense of this information. So we need to tap into the tools that we have within us in order to access that higher self. And if you need to, in the beginning, look at yourself as that wounded part of you that is you're trying to heal, as something separate, sometimes it's easier to look at that part of yourself and to be able to provide support for it in a way that it can heal and change. It's easier to know exactly what it needs when you disconnect yourself from it. Okay, removing the ego, removing the layers of self-preservation that you might still have with your own self. It's very interesting how we have very profound constructs that we create in our subconscious mind. We have incredibly defined personalities. We have identities that we hold on to. And we really hold on to those parts of us. The ego believes, and it has been reinforced through all of its life, that it needs that personality and that identity. So to be able to transform that, we need to interrupt and kind of disconnect from that for a moment into like a third person perspective to be able to look at it in a more objective way. Okay. And it's very powerful when you begin that observation work, what you can discover about yourself and easily be able to give yourself advice that is very powerful, that will shift your life into that healing. So there is so much more that I could say to answer that question, Ellen, but meditation, sitting, reconnecting with yourself, doing the shadow work is essentially what you need. And my other suggestion is don't look for evidence. Your purpose in this work, everyone's purpose in this work, has to be way bigger than just the ego or the self-serving or the one that is surviving from the pain that is being caused by your own shadow. Your purpose has to be truth. It has to be love. If you're in the pursuit of truth, finding your truth, what is true for you, that is where you will find your greatest expansion. When you are in the pursuit of love, okay, that a lot of people begin the spiritual journey in the pursuit of love or the pursuit of truth. Whatever your pursuit is, it has to be higher. It will allow you to move away from the lower egoic battles with the self that limit your perception from being able to transcend your limiting belief systems. Okay. And so be a seeker, right? Because that's essentially what we are. We are seekers. We are seeking to understand. And what we are looking for in that truth is yourself. Okay. What you will find is that the truth is yourself. Okay. What you'll find in the love is yourself again. Okay. So cheat sheet or cheat tip for you is that you are always going to be coming back to yourself. But you must allow yourself to go into that thirst of seeking yourself, get to know yourself, make yourself the exploration. Okay. And that's where you will find this information. What if part of you feels like they're being abandoned by changing your thoughts to better ones? Exactly, Abby. That's exactly what happens, precisely. And so this is exactly what I'm saying about working with that little part of you that is going to need a lot of nurturing. It's going to need a lot of support. And we need to provide the tools to that part, supportive tools, right? Because right now it's using survival mechanisms to survive, right? And another thing that you'll find is that the ego always wants to create some kind of identity. It always wants to wear some kind of mask, some kind of identity, some kind of separation. That's natural because the ego is the manifestation of duality with in order to experience contrast. It has to be. But what we do is we bring that as a part of ourselves. Okay? All we accept the duality of all that we are. All of our shadow and our darkness, all of our love and our greatest expansion, you accept both of them. This is how you work with the ego, because the ego is not something that we're just discarding, dissolving, eliminating. You are bringing it as a part of yourself, as yourself, into your whole, as a whole. And that's essentially what we want to do with this part of us. Okay. So great to see you, Reverse Universe. Ellen, welcome. Grace Aquarius, thank you so much. Love you. Grace Aquarius, thank you. I'm just reading for questions here. Please put your questions in capital letters if you can, because there's a lot of comments and it's hard to read through all of them to find question marks. So put your questions in capital letters if you can, okay? Let me see. How do I get out of survival? The past 3 years, I've been in pure survival because I developed long COVID that constantly caused heart issues and nobody knows how to heal from it. Meditation. Okay, so there's so much in this question to answer because talking about illnesses, okay, so here's the thing about illnesses. There are always somatic roots for why we create illness in the body, and let me show you why. Okay, let's just take a look at this for a minute. What are illnesses? Illnesses are created in the body as a result of belief systems. Okay, so anytime that we have a belief system that is a vibrational frequency, that vibrational frequency is self-organized within the human body, and every single part of your body, every cell of your body, every organ of your body, every part of your body is vibrating at a certain vibrational frequency. That vibrational frequency is information. Okay. So, for example, in this body chart of pain in the body, if you look at 10 in the back of this body on the right side, okay, it means fear of doing. On the left side, it represents everyone is a victim, okay? So those are the belief systems that exist within this organ, this part of the body, this plane of the body. So as you can see, illnesses are codes. They are encoded with vibrational information. Over the past few years, the collective information that was inserted into the subconscious mind of the collective was a profound fear, a paralysis of the heart system, the heart chakra, which in the infrastructure of the heart chakra exists the heart organ, the lungs, the respiratory system, going into the blood system of the body, okay? And so what happens is, which is the oxygen in the blood, the purification system of the blood, okay? So when these kinds of vibrational frequency of information of the illness that you just named, okay, that illness with a capital C is a very, very specific vibrational frequency that is inserted in the collective. When a human comes into resonance with the vibrational frequency of that illness, it allows the illness in the body. Okay? And allowing that illness in the body essentially is how viruses come and attach and bind to the body. At the DNA level, at the cellular molecular level of your body, we have the ability to choose what we take into the body. We even have the ability to be able to decide if we are going to be affected by certain diseases and how. Okay, this requires a very profound level of connection with yourself. It requires a very strong belief system of understanding that your mind is more powerful than any external thing that's happening. And this is how we also understand that we can heal our physical bodies with our minds, with our intention, with our vibrational frequency. It is completely important to understand that your belief system is the number one key to your health, to your ability to heal yourself. So, that being said, we need to take a look in the discomfort of this illness. I literally want you to go to the discomfort that you feel. And let me just come over here really quickly to look at what did you mention was the side effect here? Right, heart issues. Okay, exactly. So, okay, so what we need to observe is essentially what are the programs that we are running subconsciously when it comes to love, when it comes to the ability to give and receive love in the body, to process love. Do we feel worthy of love? Do we feel that we are capable of accepting love in our physical body? Okay, so this is the thing that we need to understand. When we have these subconscious programs, we create an environment for sustained illness in the body. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit with the discomfort that you feel in your heart, okay? And as you sit with that discomfort, I want you to name out, you're going to describe all of the uncomfortable sensations that you feel in your chest. And at first, because you're paying a lot of attention to that heart discomfort, you might feel a lot of fear, a lot of really strong emotions coming up. You might feel fear. You might feel like you're gonna, stop breathing all of a sudden. You might feel like you're going to have a heart issue. But I want you to close your first three chakras. Okay, so balance, bring your emotional body into the state of neutrality as best as you can. Connect with this symptom, and you're going to observe the discomfort. Name out the discomfort as an emotion. If you begin to feel an intense tightness, okay, what does that feel like? Feel it for a minute. Pain, I'm just giving you an example. Pain, stagnation, fear, anger, okay? I want you to write those down. Those are your formulas for healing, because when you begin to look at these emotions that are stuck in the body, that is your key to transmuting the survival state. These emotions fuel your survival state, okay? So we are decoding illness from the body at the cellular level. When you identify those emotions, you're going to take the strongest of those emotions. And again, let's say from the list, it is anger. Okay, you're going to sit with anger. You're going to observe what part of your body tenses up. Chances are the lungs are going to paralyze. And I'm giving you this example, but it's a real example because I've worked with clients that have the exact same condition that you have. And we've been able to transcend that. Okay, so I'm not just giving you imaginary examples. I've also contracted the same thing, and I know how to heal that in the body. I will share with you all the tools that I possibly can, but I must tell you that your mind is the most powerful in the healing process of your own body. Okay, so we have to be able to work with the emotional information in order to get to the root. And when you get to the root of that emotion, you're going to unpack the program. What will happen when you unpack that program is that your health will improve immediately. Okay. And what you're going to do is, it doesn't mean necessarily that the illness will completely be eradicated in 24 hours. What it means is that you're going to shift your vibrational frequency, the foundational roots that you are creating, the environment of illness that you're creating in your body. When you eliminate that environment for illness, health begins to emerge. Okay. And essentially, the body and your immune system will begin to come in and help you heal long term. Okay. So you must deal with the emotions. Now, if you don't want to go into the heart, go into the survival. Whichever one you want to choose, all of them will take you into powerful healing and transformation. And you can utilize this technique for healing any kind of ailment, any kind of illness in your body. And I've talked about illnesses before. This isn't a magical pill that you're going to just take and everything's going to be okay, everything's going to go away, you're going to be healed. This is a process. The illnesses are always contractual agreements that we make with ourselves in order to have opportunities for healing. There is something that needs to be healed. And a lot of times what we're healing is not just what it's immediate into your life right now. It's something that we are holding for generations. And no one in our ancestral lineage has known how to dissolve those belief systems into the point where they've manifested into us. Sometimes we're born with them. That's how severe the belief systems are encoded in our DNA. Until the person wakes up consciousness and begins to deprogram those belief systems and create health. We are creating an environment for health, which is an incredibly strong electromagnetic field. Okay, the incredibly strengthened electromagnetic field means that your field is completely solid. And I want you to practice this. Come fully into the present moment. How do you interrupt beings in survival? Is by coming fully into the present moment. Don't think about the future. Don't think about the past. Interrupt yourself every time that you're going in either one of those directions. What you'll discover is that you actually have a lot more health in the present moment than you did in either of those time vectors. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to stop right there. There's a lot more that I could say, but I will stop there. Okay. Thank you so much for that, beloved Saskia. We must address it, make peace, or give yourself being grateful. Question: are you familiar with raw material and the law of one? I am lightly familiar with that material. I'm not an expert of that material at all. But many of people that have heard my work have referred me to this book, and I think it's a very beautiful, beautiful piece of work that you must read. Okay. Yes, to deal with emotions. Okay. All right, guys, let's start with our practice and then we'll do questions again after. Okay. All right, my loves, I want you to get really nice and comfortable. Allow yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation, complete calm, breathing deeply. With every breath you take, coming into a state of complete relaxation and calm. Allow yourself to connect with your body. Immediately begin to connect with the first three chakras and allow yourself to close the first three chakras one by one. Breathing. bringing the body into a state of neutrality, of calm, with every breath you take. You're going to go up to your heart chakra. Go ahead and expand your heart chakra, opening the center of unconditional love and coherence. Go up into the throat, open your throat chakra, expanding. Go up into your third eye. Go ahead and expand your third eye. Go up into your crown. Go ahead and expand your crown. Go ahead and visualize a sphere around your body made out of something completely impenetrable. Make sure that your sphere is completely solid. Okay, make sure that it's completely solid, no openings. Okay. I want you to go ahead and tune in to yourself as you begin to bring green life force from the center of the earth up into your body, creating a vortex of energy. You're going to help the body, the multidimensional body, clean up its frequency. Go ahead and bring from source a powerful wave of gold cosmic energy coming down to the crown of your head, combining with the green earth energy. Okay, combining, rotating, clearing. You're going to take 10% of that energy back down to the center of the earth, anchoring, clearing out of your body. Go ahead and take 80% of this combination up your spine from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your sphere. Go ahead and call back your life force from people, places, and things that no longer serve you. Bring yourself into a state of calm, serenity, peace. Breathe back your life force into your body. This is really important for anyone that's healing right now. You're going to take that final 10% of green and gold. Go ahead and bring it into the body now. Wake up the consciousness of your body. Infuse it into the toes, into the ankles, into the shins, the calves, the knees, the thighs, into the pelvic bone, into the lower back, into the belly, into the solar plexus. Infuse that green and gold energy into the chest, into the lungs, into the organs. Waking up consciousness, healing the body, rejuvenating, regenerating. Going up into the chest, into the shoulders, the arms, the hands, into the back, going into the crown of the head, into the face. Feeling the entire body as a whole at the center of this bubble, the center of your sphere, completely enclosed inside of the sphere. This is your healing space. Go ahead and fill your house or the place that you're in with the color gold. Imagine that the entire space is turning to gold all around you. You are shifting the frequency of your environment for in order for it to be conductive to healing. Gold is the most conductive metal, conductive element. We're going to shift the frequency of our space in order to promote the highest conductivity for our healing. Breathing. Okay, now that you're here, ready to do the work, this is the basic state that you want to bring yourself into when you're doing shadow work. Okay, so now that you're running energy through the body, I want you to begin to observe part of you that requires change. Begin to observe yourself over the past 24 hours, over the past week, and begin to choose one thing as you are observing yourself that you can improve. Okay, go ahead and select that one thing. Begin to notice your body immediately responds to the thought that you brought into your space. This is allowing you to witness the program that is embedded in your body is both emotional, energetic, and physical. Okay, so notice the part of your body that tenses up, notice the emotion that comes up, or notice that the energy that changes or the color, however you perceive it through whatever sense is more activated for you, you'll be able to identify it that way best. Okay, so just connect with your body. Notice the part of your body that tenses up. Go ahead and notice the emotion that comes up. Be absolutely present with that emotion. Name out the emotions. Go ahead and select the strongest of these emotions that you just described. As you are absolutely present with the second emotion, allow yourself to notice the part of your body that tenses up as you feel this emotion. Connect with your subtle energy body so that it can communicate with you clearly. Go ahead and name out the emotions that come up here. Be as neutral as you can in observing the emotions and the thoughts that begin to arrive. Some of these emotions and thoughts can be quite triggering. Allow yourself to be as non-judgmental as possible, always bringing yourself into a state of neutral observation. Breathing. Go ahead and allow yourself to access this next emotion, bring it up. Be absolutely present with this third emotion now. And I want you to take yourself back to the very first time that you felt this emotion. What you're going to notice is that this emotion is triggering memories, old memories that you actually might not even remember. And it will take you back to a lot of childhood experiences. And sometimes these memories can be very strong. So allow yourself to observe again from a place of non-judgment as you take yourself back to the very first time that you experienced this emotion. See that now. Notice the part of your body that tenses up. It'll be really, really strong. Okay. As you explore the emotions that begin to come up in these memories, allow yourself to notice how your body is unpacking layers of emotions, thoughts, belief systems. Notice how you arrived in in constructing the belief system that you're running subconsciously. Begin to observe that. Take a look at it. Very good. So as you begin to reach some insights here in the observation of these memories, notice what is it that you need. First of all, ask yourself, what do you need from the environment? So it could be the people around you, the scenario around you. What do you need in order to change the way that you feel? Okay, so to shift your perception, what do you need? If you discover that you cannot get what you need from this external, which you will, because we cannot usually get what we need from the external, begin to look at what you need from yourself. Okay, so, but I want you to go through the process of asking the question so you begin to rule out. You are deprogramming the belief that your needs can be met from the external, because this is ultimately the truth, simply because the external is always the uncontrollable variable. It is always the unknown. It is infinite potential. It can be any experience and circumstance that you cannot control. Therefore, we need to begin to program within us the ability to navigate the unknown and to be able to provide ourselves with tools in that navigation of the unknown. Okay, so I want you to observe what you need from yourself in order to be supported when we do not have that external support. Okay, and what you become essentially the source of your needs. Allow yourself to identify what that is and how you are going to provide that to yourself. See that now. Okay, very good. You now have understood what you need in order to provide yourself. I want you to see all the fractals of yourself from the womb until now that have experienced the lack that you are experiencing in that moment. And I want you to fill them up with this new information, what they need in order to transmute this state. You are programming within you the ability to create change. Allow yourself to see that. See all of your fractals infused with this new state, one by one. Breathing. Okay, breathing deeply. As you begin to see all your fractals merging into one, I want you to see this new integrated self. Go ahead and inhale deeply, bring it into your body. Notice what has changed, okay? And what you're going to notice is that right now, what you have done with this is the shadow work. What you have done was that you have weakened and replaced one neural pathway with another. Okay, so your homework, because the work doesn't end here, it actually begins here. The work is that from this moment forward, any time that you are triggered by that same emotion, that same belief system, the part of you that needs to change, that thing that you are repeating over and over, you replace it now with the tools that you've equipped yourself with. Okay, this is what you will implement in order to create the change. This is long sustaining transformation. This isn't just quick fix or make happy. You are reprogramming your biochemical responses by providing powerful tools and insights to yourself in order to create change. Okay, so go ahead and open your first three chakras back into a balanced state. Okay, expanding your heart, your throat, your third eye. Allow yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation, complete calm. Connect up into source, anchor that source down into the center of your body. Welcome back. You guys did amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This is day one of our challenge into the integration of death and rebirth, guys. It's a really fun course today. I want to thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in the chat. Does anybody have any final questions? You guys have such amazing, amazing questions. Thank you so much for your comments. And I will be here. Geraldine, how work on memory? I have lost my memory by giving birth to my children. Okay, so when we lose our memory, first of all, we never lose memory because memory is a vibrational signature that we hold and is encoded in our DNA. Okay, so you can always recover memories by accessing the Akashic records, which essentially are your morphogenetic field that holds this information within you. Okay, and how you access that is simply by working with the emotions, following the emotions back to those experiences. Now, not all complete memories are necessary for you to remember in order to heal. Okay, what I want you to take a look at is the emotion that you felt at childbirth, when you were giving the children. Sometimes it is necessary for you to sever certain emotions that happened before because they were a very traumatic childhood. And at the time of birth, all the thoughts that you have running, the belief systems about yourself that you have running, are being infused in the child that you're bringing into the world. So you could have a contractual agreement with the soul that you brought in that we are not inputting and continuing to repeat those programs, which is really interesting contractual agreement. But now your inquiry into healing these programs is also powerful, because as you follow your emotions, simply think of the emotion that comes up the most in your life, and you're going to begin to unlock memories, okay, with those sub emotions, as we did in today's little mini workshop. Okay, the key is every emotion that you feel, and most of my clients that lose their memories, their childhood memories, usually they do remember at least one or two main emotions that they felt throughout their entire childhood. Okay. So for example, someone says, I just remember feeling lonely all the time. Okay. So connect with that emotion, be absolutely present with the feeling of loneliness, begin to unpack the emotions, name them out. If you have a complete severing between mind and body, it's going to be difficult for you to describe the emotions. Grab a chart with all the emotions and just begin to identify which ones you feel in your body where. Okay, that's how you will be able to identify them. Remember, words are forms, they are shape, they are geometric constructs. So anytime that you hear somebody say something, you're going to feel it in your body. Okay. And your body has an intelligence of its own that responds to the vibrational pattern of that word. So this is how we begin to recover the memories, because it's all there in your field, it's in your DNA. There's just sometimes self-preservation mechanisms that block us from accessing that information until we're ready to access it for healing. Okay, so there's a lot more to say about that, but try to work with that and see how that works for you. Okay, love you so much. I hope you guys have an incredible day, and I will see you tomorrow. Much love.